Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Sarah and you're probably wondering what we're looking at, and so is the camera apparently, but this is going to be a cat couch. This isn't a project I had planned or a project I really wanted to do, but it is a commission and I decided let's just do it together. We're gonna have an interesting time doing it. I used foam board to put the structure together and I'll try and break it down with you really fast. For the structure, I cut out a bunch of different pieces and they're all different measurements and sizes. I'm not gonna bore you with that right this second. If you are interested in that, stick around to the end of the video because I do break it down a little further. But what I really wanted to show you was actually the underneath of the couch. So I put a little X in here for structure because this is where the cat's going to be sitting. So to keep it from being hollow and being able to collapse in, I put this structure in and then I'm going to put a bottom on and it's going to go all the way across the whole thing. Once I finish the structure, I'm going to be placing some soft foam. So I already cut out the pieces. This foam is just going to make it nice and cushy for the base and then the arm. And then this foam collects everything. Don't let it touch anything because you'll see it. I gotta glue these on. I think I'm just gonna use some hot glue and then we can start working on the actual couch part. Hopefully I have enough yarn for that step. Who knows, but we shall see. I don't know how this is gonna turn out, but I think it'll still be cute. I don't know. We'll see. Here is the bottom of the couch attached and it goes over the entire bottom, including kind of the back where it overhangs. And then I'm about to start hot gluing. Let's just get to it. For the gluing step, I just decided to put all the foam onto the couch instead of placing each piece on as I glue it, if that makes sense. So I started with the arms and I'm just using really basic hot glue. I did test this later on and if I purposely pull the foam up, it will come off. I tested this because I decided to replace the arms with a slightly different size. I did a little experiment where I rounded the corners and I didn't like the look, so I pulled it off and put more foam on, but it is pretty sturdy, all things considered. You could technically use a different glue than hot glue, but you'd have to find a glue that binds to both fabric. I mean, I know it's foam, so it's not quite the same, but it's kind of like fabric, and then you'd need something that also binds to the foam board, which is closer to like a plastic or even like a paper. Experiment as you will, but that's just my 2 cents on the matter. My plan is to make the couch out of orange. That's the color she requested. But then also white as the secondary color. And I'm gonna do almost like a vintage couch where it has the frills, the ruffles all over. Hopefully this is enough orange yarn. I'm honestly not sure. We'll see. It's couch update time. I haven't gotten much done because life has been a little crazy around here. So I just pretty much started a panel. I'm trying to decide if I actually like the stitches I used are picked. It's obviously a lot smaller, but if I had two hands, I'd show you. It stretches all the way to the end. This is the back panel, so it's gonna go along the back here. I'm gonna make it long enough to come all the way up the back, over the top, and then around the front. And then I will fasten off, reconnect again, and then make the panel for right here, if that makes sense. And then I'm thinking I need to make a separate piece for the front and then come around, do that same process. And then once I'm done with those two panels, I'll make another panel for the sides, which will go all the way across. And then I'm thinking I'll try and make this whole piece one piece all the way up to here, but we're gonna see how that turns out. I think I can do it. Kind of trying to avoid making a bunch of panels that I have to sew together is kind of the goal right now. I don't know if that made any sense to any of you, but as we continue on with this experiment, I'm sure things will make a little bit more sense. I may or may not change this stitch type. This is just like a really basic stitch. The only issue is that there's holes between the double crochets, so that's what I'm trying to decide if this is the right stitch or not. I'll update you in a little bit and let you know if I stuck with it or if I'm gonna switch it. We'll see. I know the lighting is pretty bad right now, but I really wanted to do an update on the couch situation for a couple reasons. One, because I am about ready to seam this all together and I really wanted to finish it tonight. So I wanted to show you the panels while they were separate, but the stitch I ended up using was just half double crochets in each stitch, and I just decided to keep it pretty simple and make it easier on my hands. Work up pretty fast with this stitch. I think it looks nice, and I think it'll look really nice when I add the white kind of frilly borders everywhere. But here's what the panels are looking like. So I have this one here. I did already seam it right down here, but this is the back side, and then the top will be about here. It'll fold over, and then this is the seam of the couch right here where I seamed it here. These are two separate pieces. This is the front of the arm on both sides, so I didn't have to make separate pieces. And then I have two more panels over there. These are identical and they are for the sides. So this wraps around the arm like that. This is closer to the front, and then this is the back. So it goes straight up the back side, if that makes sense. Here are the panels all finished. Like I said, I just have to sew them together, and then I can add the borders all around and it'll be finished. So, well, I do plan on making some little cushions, but once those are done, it will be finished. The sewing process in the beginning was a little confusing because all the panels kind of had to be sewn around each other, if that makes sense. Instead of just making each panel for each flat side and then sewing them together, as I showed earlier, I made as few panels as possible, which in turn made sewing and attaching everything together a little bit confusing, but it was definitely worth it to not have to sew so many panels together. I just sewed stitch by stitch all the way across. When I made the panels, I tried to make sure I measured them so that the rounds equaled the same on all sides. That way everything could just come together easy and I wouldn't have to really count. And then I also tried to keep the seam as small as possible, and the way I did that was by sewing just one or two layers together. once I finished adding that first panel, which would be one side, I added the second side, and then it was all ready to go. And then once I finished everything, I weaved in all the ends, and I didn't weave them in completely because I wanted to make sure that the couch had a right side and a wrong side, and it was clear for anyone, even if they don't crochet. It's couch update time, and I have obviously done quite a bit of work since the last time I talked to you. The actual cover of the couch is finished. Well, I still have to add some extra details, but the orange part is finished. I have been working on making this little seam around the couch, and I plan to add it across the top here and then complete this side as well. And when that's finished, I'm gonna decide if I want to add white around the arms or not. I did experiment a little bit and I wasn't sure how much I liked it. I was originally gonna do this ruffling all around the edges. I don't know, I think the stitching looks better and makes more sense for a couch. I was doing a little bit of research looking at old vintage couches, and I didn't really see anything like what I was envisioning with the ruffles, so I'm going with this design. I think it makes more sense, and I think it'll look better when it's finished. While I was working on this couch, I realized that it really could use some pillows. And I know that the cat doesn't really care about aesthetics, but I think it's a super cute detail. If you got an especially crazy cat that could be, you know, the new toy. Some cats might need some back support, like humans. I'm just kidding about that one, but I did think this couch needed some extra details, so I made 2 pillows. I decided to do opposite colors for each because I kind of wanted to be almost like a designer pillow, if that makes sense. So what I did was I made some just basic granny squares, shoved some extra of the super soft foam into the layers. That way there's no concern about stuffing. I mean, a cat could tear up the foam if they really wanted to, but it's less likely to be a choking hazard or anything. And then, like I said, I did do opposite colors, so the one I made mainly orange and the other one I made mainly white. That is pretty much how I made the pillows. I did crochet them together with single crochets and double crochet shells. So if any of you crocheters are interested in how I did it, there's your instructions. never kiss me. What's that about? Can you sit on the couch now? Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, okay. That was an improvement. No, get over here. Couch. This is what he does. This is what he does. He does bad things. He doesn't listen. You have one job. What am I paying you for? I'm gonna go have to get Lulu. Is that what you want? Do you want Lulu to replace you? Lulu would sit on it. One more time. Come on. Try it. Try the couch. Come here. Try it. Come on. Try it. You sat on it just the other day. Oh, you're such a criminal. You're such a criminal. I'm gonna get Lulu. You brought this upon yourself, sir. Come here, baby. Come on. Good girl. Good girl. This is a kitty being good. Will you stay on it while I get some photos? Girl. Alright, let's see if I can sneak some photos. I think I got some good photos, but now Buddy's butt's in the way, so now it's awkward. I think I'm gonna come back in the morning though with natural light and try again though, because the lighting is absolutely terrible right now. Lulu will sit on it. And by Lulu, I mean Lucy, but we call her Lulu because she's a cuckoo. Lulu makes sense, you know? I know for a fact that she'll sit on it, so I think I'll just try again in the morning with some sunlight. The couch is officially finished. I finished the granny square pillows, which I did opposite colors for these because I think that makes more sense. And then I did this surface crochet around all the edges. Here's the side angle. I went all the way down all the sides. I think the only thing I didn't do was I didn't go around the seam here, but I did go around all like the corners and the edges that stick out. That is the details. And then I also did the ribbing on the bottom, which I feel like could have been more frilly. So the geese interrupted this clip and I guess I just completely forgot to finish it. This is the voiceover to connect the next two clips. I realized I never really gave my final thoughts on the whole couch thing in general. I'm gonna give it to you real quick. This happens to me on every project. The beginning of it's fun, the end of it's fun, the middle part is just kind of meh, sometimes really boring. In this case it was just kind of meh because the middle part is just all the boring crocheting the panels and making the duplicate panels and everything. So that's kind of like the boring part, but putting the actual structure together was pretty fun, and then seeing everything come together near the end was also amazing. I had said a couple times, which I believe I cut out of the video because it really wasn't important to what I was saying in the moment, but I did mention a couple times that I wasn't sure if I'd ever actually make this couch again. And I do have to say that now that this couch is finished, I would gladly make a second one. Now, the material cost is pretty high for a project like this though. I spent about $50 in materials for the foam board, the duct tape, and all the yarn, also the other foam, like the softer foam. So all those materials add up. I wouldn't just randomly make another couch just because. I might just make one for Lulu, just so that she can have her own couch, but it would definitely be in my favorite colors. If you're interested in making a cat couch, I highly recommend it. You could always replace the foam with cardboard, which would probably reduce the cost by a lot, and you can like scrounge around and use materials you already have on hand. It's not a necessity to go out and buy new stuff. I just was making this for someone, so I always use the best materials, especially if I want it to last a long time, because I do think the foam board will last longer than cardboard. Those are my thoughts on it, and I do think it is totally worth it, worth the effort. It's super customizable, which I will talk about in a few minutes here. Totally worth it if any of you were maybe on the fence about making your own cat couch. I would just make sure you have cats that actually want to sit in it, because my buddy definitely did not want to sit on it. I only have one cat that will. That's just my thoughts on the matter though. I think that's pretty much all I have to add. So if you are interested in the step-by-step process, stick around. And then I also want to show you the clients, which would be the cats who received the couch, and give them a little shout out because they deserve it. So stick around for that and we'll get right into that. I think we'll start with the clients since that's a more important step in my opinion. At least it's cuter. The owners gave me permission to share the cats as long as I shared their names. The first cat we have is Doc, aka Doc Moonlight Graham, and he was very sweet. When I came and dropped the couch off, he sniffed all over me because obviously I smell like other cats, and he let me pet him. So that's always a good thing. The next cat we have is Piccadilly, and she is a jonker, but super sweet. And you can see she loves the couch by the way she sits on it, which is possibly my favorite photo of the bunch. And then finally we have Yolo, or Yolanda Farah Fowler. And this cat I actually didn't see when I dropped the couch off, so I didn't even know there was a third cat. But this cat is just as cute as the rest. So thank you to the owners for your order, and thank you for allowing me to share your photos. These guys are super duper cute, and I'm glad to see them enjoying their couch, and I hope they're not fighting over it too much. So now that the couch is finished and we've seen the happy cats enjoying their couch, let's go ahead and get into the more technical stuff. This will be like your step-by-step guide, if you will. If you guys are interested in like a full-blown tutorial, let me know in the comments, because I was thinking about making a second one for Lucy, which I'll put some photos up on the screen now. Lucy was very, very happy to have this couch, but like I said, this is a commission for somebody else, so it is leaving today. I think it would be really cute and sweet for Lucy to have one, so if you guys are interested in a tutorial, just let me know. The first step is to make the base. Now I made the base out of foam board, but I imagine you can make the base out of cardboard or even maybe like coroplast, and it would be a little bit harder. The foam board worked really well actually, because it had that little bit of like a papery, plasticky texture on the outside, and there were layers. So when I cut the side panels, which I'll put up on a screen, the blueprints I used, I did use foam board, and for those little 2-inch edges on the side, all the for the arms and then for the sides of the couch and everything, I just cut halfway through and was able to fold that layer over, and it kind of helps, you know, make it a little more sturdy. For the bottom panel, I decided to do one that is 12 inches long. That way I could go over the entire thing. If you're looking at the blueprints, it probably makes more sense. But then once you get everything cut out, measured, cut out, you need to tape it all together. I just use traditional duct tape, but you can use pretty much anything you can think of that would last long term. You want to add some soft foam. I added it to the base of the couch and to the arms, but you can add the soft foam anywhere you'd like and even omit it completely. I don't think the cat is going to notice if it's sitting on something that's hard. My cat sits on a table all day. And that's like her favorite thing to do. So you could add the foam, you could keep it out, whatever you want to do. I just glued it down with hot glue and it stuck pretty well. And I don't think it'll come off very easily unless someone like purposely pulled it off. For step 2, we have to crochet the panels. Now I made 4 separate panels, but I fastened off and would add to each panel. For example, the side panel, I crocheted all of this in one piece all the way up to the top. I fastened off here, I joined back on, and I finished the full arm here. And then the base piece, I made the 2 separate squares here, but crocheted it onto the base, if that makes sense. And that way we could just save on sewing and heavy seams and stuff. My one recommendation though is to make sure that if you're going to make a panel a little bit smaller, make sure everything is a little bit smaller. That way it doesn't stretch weird. The reason that this doesn't sit fully flush like it should is because this piece was a little too small and the rest of the pieces fit perfectly. For the crochet panels, you can use any stitch. I used half double crochets for the whole thing because it's the easiest stitch for me without being too loose, but you could really go crazy and use some special stitches if you'd like. Use pretty much any stitch. And if you look up crochet couches on Google, you will find, or I imagine on Instagram too, you would find inspiration photos and you can see the different stitches everyone uses. So that just kind of proves it's pretty customizable. But once you finish the crochet panels, you have to sew or crochet the panels together. I found that crocheting the panels was pretty heavy. The seam was very heavy, so I instead sewed all the panels together, which kept the seam from being too big. But once you finish that, it can be a little bit confusing adding everything together, but it's not too bad. And once you finish sewing all the panels together, then you can move on to step 4, which is adding the details. So for me, the details were the frilly edge the stitches around all the corners, and I did that with surface crochet for the stitching marks. So what I did was I put my crochet hook through and pulled yarn from the back side out and went all the way down. Not sure what that term is called. I'm pretty certain it is an official term. So I'll put it on the screen if I remember, if I can figure it out. Pretty much what I did all the way around. It was a little difficult on the top of the couch and stuff because the fabric was getting in the way, but all in all it wasn't too bad. It was definitely worth it. And then step 5 is making pillows. So I was thinking a couch could be really cute if you made cushions instead of putting the soft foam on top of the base here. You could make that a separate piece and make 2 cushions, kind of like a traditional couch. That could be really cool. Of course, you'll need more yarn and your cat's probably gonna knock them off all the time, but it could be pretty cute. Then I made the granny square pillows just for decorative because, you know, a couch needs pillows. Step 6 is to test the couch. This is the last step, the final step, and you need a cat for that. If you don't have a cat, this might not work, but maybe you make a mini bed for a dog, so you could test it with a dog. But I have photos of the couch being tested by my Lucy girl, and I tried to get Buddy to sit on it, but he refused because he's a spoiled brat. But Lucy loved it, and this definitely was a time-consuming project, but it was very fun to kind of get out of my comfort zone a little bit and work on something new instead of plushies all the time. If I were to make another couch, it'd probably be after my next event, which if you're up to date on that, it's in April, and I'd rather focus on prepping right now than making couches, even though it's kind of fun. That is pretty much all the steps, and you know, once you finish all those steps, you have yourself a finished couch. If you want a full-blown tutorial, definitely let me know in the comments, like I said already. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Thank you all so much for watching the end of this video. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. So I'll see you around. Bye! Here's Lulu sitting precariously on a bag of stuffing covered with a blanket, but she doesn't care. Huh, you don't care. And here's Ozzie being jealous. Oh, he's so jelly. Do you want on the couch? Yeah, that would fall over with your weight. Ozzie, don't do it. Ozzie, you're gonna break it. No. Alright, I gotta stop this before it happens.